And that's exactly what this is. But if we just followed the Constitution and gave people their due process rights, then maybe they could show up and prevent some of these mistakes. And maybe these mistakes that maybe seem so small to y'all because maybe the people that are being targeted have a little bit more melanin. So maybe we don't care about the mistakes that happen with some of those folk. I don't really understand.
It is very easy to get under Donald Trump's skin, to bother him, to make him rage, to make him melt down. But to live in his head rent-free is a step above. It is exclusive real estate reserved for a select few. Of course, both President Barack Obama and our First Lady Michelle Obama are up there. VP Harris, Joe Biden, they live in Donald Trump's head but so does Jasmine Crockett. And it is because of the takedowns like the one that she delivered today, calling out Donald Trump's criminality before Congress and very clearly making him freak out. We're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, the big story around Donald Trump's attack on due process lately has, of course, been the attack on Kilara Bigo Garcia, but also the many children, including one 2-year-old with cancer, that Donald Trump has deported, U.S. citizens, and that is what Jasmine Crockett called out. We're going to get to that. But before we do, I want to see another address that a member of the Trump administration gave about children that was so weird that we just have to start with it.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous, communist, woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security matter less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
What sort of weird propaganda, like Stephen Miller, like lecturing at children? And again, I have to do the Stephen Miller pose. Children will love this country, and they're going to love President Trump. Like, that's what he looks like. He's just so gangly. He looks like a villain in a movie, and his suits don't fit him. This is what I've said. His suits clearly don't fit him because the fabric is so, like, disgusted with Stephen Miller. Like, it just doesn't want to touch his body. But what a weird thing to say, especially about children you're deporting. Are those children going to love America, Stephen? Are they going to be taught to be patriotic when their friends are being shipped off to El Salvador? Oh no. We're not having a play date because Donald Trump decided that he can strip everyone in America of their due process. It's insanity, and he clearly believes that. It's why he made this post. And then we're going to check out what Jasmine Crockett had to say about it. We need courageous justice in our country. If the courts don't allow what we have been allowed to do for 250 years, America can no longer be the same. Crooked Joe Biden will have destroyed our country with his open border madness and allowing criminals of every type to enter with no retribution. Murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and even the mentally insane will make their homes in our country, wreaking havoc like we have never seen before. It is not possible to have trials for millions and millions of people. We know who the criminals are, and we must get them out of the USA and fast. Well, clearly, you don't know who the criminals are, because according to your own White House, you've deported U.S. citizens who haven't broken the law. So, no. We do need trials. And remember when Donald Trump would always complain that he wasn't getting due process during his trials? In fact, he was. But that was always his claim that they were political and he wasn't getting the due process he wants. But now that it's shipping people to countries they've never been citizens, he's totally fine with it. Yeah, and that's why Jasmine Crockett called him out right here.
Some things just should not be debatable. And one of the things that we know is that the Constitution is really supposed to be a guiding light. And the reason that we're having to do amendments like this one and the other one and talk about things such as due process and the Constitution is because we could actually avoid maybe detaining or sending away U.S. citizens if we just gave them their due process rights. Because I'm tired of hearing, oh, they made a mistake. Well, guess what? That mistake may cost somebody their job. That mistake may cost somebody their home. That mistake may cost somebody actually being able to still have their child. Because authorities may be called because that person is now not showing up to pick up their child. Or some people don't have the privilege of having a salary job where whether they show up or not, they're still going to get paid. Some people need to be at work. And so if you care about U.S. citizens, we know how y'all feel about immigrants, but if you care about U.S. citizens, I don't understand why this would be debatable, because if there's anybody that we're fighting for, all supposed to be fighting for, it should be U.S. citizens. In fact, it's U.S. citizens that are the ones that send us here, not Donald Trump. And so with that, we should be looking out. We should have their back, and we should say, as the federal government, we will not do things that are directly going to disenfranchise our citizens. And that's exactly what this is. But if we just followed the Constitution and gave people their due process rights, then maybe they could show up and prevent some of these mistakes. And maybe these mistakes that maybe seem so small to y'all because maybe the people that are being targeted have a little bit more melanin. So maybe we don't care about the mistakes that happen with some of those folk. I don't really understand. But I'm tired. And frankly, I think y'all should be tired too. Because I think no matter what district you come from, if you were to survey your district, there is no one in your district that would say that we should spend money on ICE, immigration and customs enforcement, to detain or deport, which you can't even deport, detain and kidnap or detain and whatever, unlawfully restrain a U.S. citizen.
This is an issue that we need to focus on. I do not want to hear from any Democrat calling this a distraction, saying we need to move on, that this isn't important. Sure, of course it is good to focus on the economy. Donald Trump has destroyed the economy. We know that. But it is not the only thing we can talk about. And if it's the only thing we do talk about, and we don't pay attention to the fact that people are being stripped of their due process, then who are we to say that we are defenders of democracy, that we are defenders of what is right, that we will always fight for people? Sure, talk about the economy. But if we do it in this out-of-fouch and kind of like cold way where it's just like we will hammer whatever our focus group said is the only and most important thing, then it's like who? You're not serving anyone. You're not leading. You're just a political robot. And that does not work very clearly, especially when on every issue Donald Trump is losing. And as AOC has said, and I continue to repeat this, he is never popular in regard to any policy, any plan, or any piece of his agenda. He is not, especially on immigration. We just haven't worked to make him unpopular. Republicans tried to take any positive agenda the Democrats put forward and twist it and malign it and lie as much as they can. We've gotten Republicans to attack and try to make make unpopular, and they have failed. Free school lunches for elementary school kids, and you're telling me we can't make Donald Trump's illegal deportation plan unpopular? Get out of here. We gotta keep calling it out, especially, like I said, when he's already losing on these issues. And Rachel Maddow broke down just how much Americans hate dictator Donald in this clip right here.
You can maybe tie it all up in a bow with this new polling from the Public Religion Research Institute. Axios got the first look at this polling, and I think their headline on it sums it up well. Quote, most Americans see Trump as a, quote, dangerous dictator. And that's exactly what that poll found. I mean, the exact phrase that was put to people in this large, well-respected poll was, President Trump is a dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. Do you agree? The answer was yes. By 8 points, yes, a majority of Americans agree with that. 52% of the country agrees with that. Break it down along racial lines, 67% of black Americans agree that Donald Trump is a dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. 67% of black Americans. Latino Americans, 63%. Asian American or Pacific Islander, 58%. It's only white people among whom a majority do not agree with that statement, but even among white people, it's still 45%. A dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. Speaking of Trump's power being limited, court losses keep piling up for him. Trump is now being forced by the courts to reinstate more than 1,400 people he tried to fire from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Trump has also just been ordered to pay Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty the $12 million in grant funding they were owed in April, according to their congressional appropriation, that Trump nevertheless was refusing to pay out. And that ruling is important in its own terms, but in that ruling, you should know, there was a sort of an important sort of statement that went along with it. Language in the ruling from the judge in this case, who is a very conservative 81-year-old Ronald Reagan appointed judge in Washington. He closed his ruling in this case by noting that the constitutional paradigm that mandates that Trump can't block this funding that was approved by Congress, that constitutional paradigm, in the judge's words, is, quote, a framework that has propelled the United States to heights of greatness, liberty, and prosperity unparalleled in the history of the world for nearly 250 years. If our nation is to thrive for another 250 years, each co-equal branch of government must be willing to courageously exert the authority entrusted to it by our founders. Judge Royce Lamberth, deeply, deeply conservative veteran judge in the Federal District Court yesterday in Washington. What a time, right? I mean, this is the end of the 100 days. This is the start of the second 100 days. And here's Donald Trump, less popular than any president has been at this point in his presidency since the dawn of modern polling. He's like blaming Joe Biden for everything he's doing. He's complaining that the polls must be fake. All of them. He's telling America's kids that, you know what, they've had it too good and that's about to change. While meanwhile, the courts are finding their voice and the people never lost theirs in the first place. Second 100 days.
We got to stop thinking about what's politically right and just do what's right, because most of the time those things align. Just AAM's razor style. Take a look at Andy Basher in Kentucky. This is a guy who lives his truth, who acts on his values every single day, and he's winning in Kentucky as a Democrat. Kentucky, he not only signs a bill banning conversion therapy, but terms it conversion torture, because that's what it is. Andy Basher is not quiet about calling out what is broken as a Democrat in Kentucky. So why can't we do it? Why can't we be honest? Why can't we have the same approach? We absolutely can. I'm loving what Andy Basher is doing. Hopefully, we have him on the show soon, maybe. And if you want to stick around for potentially maybe an interview coming up, I don't know. I'm not promising anything, but why not? He's on Midas Touch all the time. Come over here. It's all a big group. We a lot of fun. But if you want to stick around for maybe the possibility of that happening, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.